Spider-Man.
So by now we're all pretty much aware of what's going on kind of with Spider-Man 4. The supposed storylines being either multiversal or street level, the battle between Sony and Marvel supposedly, and also just getting this movie out has been in the news a lot. The debate whether this is going to be street level or multiversal based, we've discussed this many times on this channel, and up until recently we didn't get any information on Spider-Man 4 until we found out that Destin Daniel Cretton is directing and Tom Holland is back on board. In the recent weeks we've learned some rumors that possibly Venom will be playing a huge role in this movie, and Null, who is going to be making an appearance in Venom: The Last Dance, may be the big bad for this movie. Now, obviously, a lot of people, myself included, would want this story to be very grounded off the tales of No Way Home after Peter Parker has lost everything, just being Spider-Man, but also I see the appeal of bringing back possibly Tobey and Andrew to fight a bunch of symbiotes with Venom. Obviously, my biggest worry, and a lot of people's biggest worry, is that they mess up the story, they mess up the character with the script. However, with Spider-Man 4 starting to really ramp up, there's an interview out there right now of Tom Holland talking about the process of Spider-Man 4 and what it means to him to be such a big part of the creative process with this film, and I really need to talk about it. We're going to listen to about a minute or two of this podcast on the Rich Roll podcast. I highly suggest going to check out the full thing. I will leave a link to it down in the description, but there's some really important information that Tom Holland gives about Spider-Man 4 that just makes me feel good. Without spoiling anything, let's go ahead and watch a couple clips.
When I signed my contract for Spider-Man 1, I signed a 6-picture deal. I was 18 years old. I was more excited than I'd ever been about anything ever.
Right? I mean, I would be too.
And for the last 10 years, I have been at the beck and call of Marvel and Sony.
Right.
And proudly so. It's been the best experience of my life. I'm now at a juncture where I can say no.
So,
and now that I've been afforded that power, I am struggling to figure out what is the right thing to do.
that's huge. In my opinion, having Tom Holland be a part of the creative process for this film is such a big deal, not just for, the direction that the character goes, but making sure they don't jump the shark, making sure they don't do irreparable damage down the line that prevents his character from doing things in the future with other characters, perhaps in the Sony universe or the MCU.
It's meant I've had to put my foot down in certain instances, which I haven't been allowed to do in the past. And I think the learning curve that I'm on right now is dealing with that new sense of power, making sure that I don't abuse it, but making sure that I do the best thing for me rather than for the studio. And really the best thing for the character. I don't want to make another movie for the sake of making it.
Exactly.
I don't
The
want
studio wants you to make another Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Of
they
course.
do. And I want to make another one. I want to make many more, but I want to do it for the right reasons. And now, like I said to you earlier, sometimes I miss the day when getting the job was the win. Navigating and figuring out what having that kind of power means and that responsibility.
Yeah.
And I'm figuring it out. And I'm speaking to people and asking questions. And, I've been speaking to Downey a lot, but it is something that keeps me up at night. And I'm constantly thinking of like, is this the right thing to do? Am I going to do justice to the character? Am I going to do justice to the fans? I definitely don't want to just make a movie for the sake of it, because that's not what Spider-Man represents.
So that right there should just tell you everything you need to know about Tom Holland and him caring so much about this character that we all care so deeply about. We're going to watch another clip from this amazing podcast in just a minute, but I want to talk about what he says here. I imagine it being so easy being told from a studio, here's X amount of dollars, make this movie, and people just saying yes. But Tom Holland being a big character such as Spider-Man, now having creative input over what his character does and where his story goes, him being able to say no and go back on things is great. If he sees his character going in a direction that he not necessarily is gelling with, or he thinks the fans may dislike, he has the power to stop it. Most importantly, he is a fan of this character that he plays himself. He knows the importance of Spider-Man for his fans, himself, and just the legacy of the character, and he does not want to tarnish it. Let's watch another clip.
It's a complicated one, and I feel like I owe it to them to give and deliver the best version of what the next chapter for Spider-Man looks like.
That's what I said.
And I think that's really important. And I think the creative integrity for something like that is really important. And the studio is on board and supportive and really collaborative. And I've been so blown away by how welcoming they've been into that creative room.
That's a good sign.
But, you know, we're working now with the pedal is to the metal. We're trying to get it going as soon as possible.
That's the
Things
problem.
are looking great, but there's still a lot of moving pieces that need to come together for us to hit the ground running. I'm not really sure about how much I can talk about in terms of what are some of the challenges we face creatively and
No one's
logistically.
listening. You know,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
Probably the multiversal
Obviously,
versus
one of the
story-based
things
elements.
to like bear in mind with Marvel is that your film is a small cog in a large machine. And that machine has got to keep running.
Exactly.
And you need to make sure that you can fit into that timeline at the right time to benefit the bigger picture.
An infinite number of machines across the multiverse.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. So, you know, that's one of the challenges.
Like, where
we're
is it going to
facing,
fit
and
in the timeline?
the time in which we need to get that done is a tall order, but definitely achievable with the fantastic people we have working on it now. But my biggest thing is the creative. We have a creative and a pitch and a draft, which is excellent.
That's good.
It needs work,
And he knows
but
that.
the writers are doing a great job. And I read it 3 weeks ago, and it really like lit a fire in me.
So
There
exciting.
and I sat down and read it together, and we at times were like bouncing around the living room like, this is a real movie worthy of like the fans' respect. But there's a few
Good
things we
sign.
need to figure out before we can get that really going.
Yeah.
But it's exciting, and I'm really, really excited about it.
And there it is. I mean, Tom Holland talking there about his character, making sure they get the next one right for not just him, but for the fans, and doing justice for the character. It tells me everything I need to know. Am I still worried about Spider-Man 4 and the direction it goes? Of course. This is my favorite character in all of pop culture. Of course, I'm going to be concerned when I hear battles about multiverse again versus street level, when they clearly saw how much money the multiverse stuff makes, and then you have Sony pumping out movies like Madam Web and the Venom films, which I do think the success of this third Venom movie is really going to have some sort of input on the direction of Spider-Man 4. Them wanting to set up Null as kind of the Thanos of the Sony Spider-Man universe is interesting, but Tom Holland wants to make sure they get it right, and that's so important. This makes me think Tom Holland is like the best Spider-Man, and not for the stuff he does in the suit, but the stuff he's doing behind the scenes like this, talking to us about what it means to him. So yeah, am I still worried about Spider-Man 4? A little bit, but a lot less than I was because of this interview alone. Give me your thoughts on this down below. I read all of the comments. I found this really interesting, and I really got to know what you guys think about it. Leave a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all very, very soon.